radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. Today's Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. 104 days into the new year. Only 261 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful. How you doing? How you doing? You guys ready for this? I am. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? All right. Yeah, man, I'm in a great mood because tonight Serena Wright Taylor is here. We love Serena. And she has got a complete update on Puerto Rico. That's right, UFOs, ET, a little bit later on the show, Chupacabra. Got some of that coming up too as well. And I've got some images. I've got a few that Serena has sent me. And those will post over in Twitter, in the sandbox, hashtag F2B. And so when those get posted, we'll announce it during the show. And you can jet right over. If you're not on Twitter, you can jump over to Twitter, hashtag F2B, to check those out. Hello to everybody all around the world. What is going on? Facebook, YouTube, the Bunker Cam. Right over there is Spreaker. We have the chat rooms open, and let's do this. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. That's where you can go and hang out in real time with me during the show. You can do a couple of things there. You can hashtag F2B, which is the sandbox, and all the Fadernauts are hanging out right there. Hashtag F2B is Fade to Black Questions, and I see that right in front of me. And there you go. Okay, so it's all easy to do. One of the great things about doing a live show with all of the interaction, like I can jump over and jump right over to YouTube and see what's going on over there. Hello, everybody. And wow, the bunker looks pretty good. Pretty good. Started to add the third row. And you can kind of see that in back of me. I don't know if you can, but I'll pull away. So you can see the third row is being added. Yeah, we'll have the third row complete tomorrow. I was just a little too busy today doing some other stuff. And there you go. Okay. I wanted to say a couple of things I can't say a whole lot about this right now, but I am in the middle of narrating a new film, major production and things. And And that's taking up a lot of my time. But the point is, I'm sucked into this movie, and it is so good, and I can't wait for all of you to see it. And that took up a big chunk of my day today as well. And I'm just telling you, I'm watching, it's a 2.5 hour movie, and I just want to watch the movie. I had the movie playing in front of me, and I'm going through the narration, and this is great. So I can't wait to make this announcement. I can't say anything further right now because it's not my movie. I'm just narrating, but pretty cool. Okay, so I just wanted to say that I'm in a great mood. What a day today. Okay. All right. And now I just got, I sort of announced this yesterday, but I got the new schedule sent to me for UFO MegaCon yesterday. And I'm looking at the schedule, and this is what is really cool. Now, I'm going to be there, and I'm hosting 2 panels, one on Wednesday night, one on Friday night. And I'll also be hosting one of the Sky Watches. And I think that's Friday evening, too, as well, after the panel. But looking at this, what's really cool about UFO MegaCon is one stage, 7 days, right? There isn't, you have to make decisions. Am I going to go see this person or this person? There's so much stuff going on, and you have to miss somebody because you're going to watch somebody else, and then you have to go and get the DVD and watch it, and that's never as good as being there live. It's 7 days of everybody on stage, one after another, bam, bam, bam. And I really like the way they've got things set up over there. The schedule is just really, really cool. I'm very excited about this. And it's all simple to do. It's very limited tickets at this point. You need to go to jimmychurchradio.com and click on the banner right there. It says UFO MegaCon. Go and get your tickets, Fadernauts. I'm telling you, get your tickets. Let's go hang out in Laughlin, Nevada at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. 7 days, June 6th through the 12th. Right there in Laughlin, Nevada on the river. It's beautiful. Okay? I'll see everybody there. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That is easy to do. I've kind of noticed Gabriel's hanging out. Gabe can't Gabriel was missing from the sandbox for like 2 years. And now I can't get rid of the guy. He's just right here. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good night. I'm ready for a great guest. Yes, exactly. Gabriel, you're the best, man. You are the very best. I saw your skulls that you got from Carolyn Ford. By the way, just go to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com, promo code Jimmy. And Gabriel's got quite the collection going on there, him and Cherie. All right, breaking news. Scientific American magazine announced it would replace the term climate change with something they feel is more appropriate for the state of the planet and humanity. In a post yesterday, senior editor Mark Frischetti said that the publication has agreed with other news outlets to use climate emergency instead of climate change in all of its stories moving forward, comparing Earth's environmental concerns to medical situations that require 911 help. Fischetti said that there's no mistake the planet is in an emergency of its own. The magazine, which is the oldest continuously published magazine in the United States, joins Columbia Journalism Review, The Nation, The Guardian, Al Jazeera, Japan's Asahi Shimbun, and La Repubblica of Italy in making the change in terminology. Very, very interesting. And let's see how mass media treats this moving forward. Now, how do you save a herd of giraffes that are trapped on a rapidly sinking island. Well, you float them to the mainland on a custom-built barge. A giraffe. You like how I did that? That's how a months-long giraffe rescue operation in Kenya recently concluded on April 12th, delivering the last of 9 stranded giraffes to safety. The threatened giraffes, a highly endangered subspecies called Rothschild's giraffes, has been living on Longacharo Island in Kenya's Lake Baringo since 2011. But rising waters repeatedly flooded their habitat, and conservationists, concerned that the giraffes could no longer find enough food on the island, decided to evacuate the animals on a giraffe. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. You ready? Pentagon scientists have invented a microchip. A microchip that once inserted under the skin will detect if an individual develops COVID-19. They have also developed a filter that can remove the virus from the patient's blood through a dialysis machine. Researchers at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, that's right, DARPA, say that they have been working for years on ways to prevent and end pandemics. The microchip, which DARPA says does not track movements, but it's DARPA, which means it does track movements. I'm just saying. They say that it is carried in a tissue-like gel and is designed to continuously test the patient's blood. Now, I tried to find out exactly how this works. It's under the skin. I think it lights up. And what they are, I'm telling you, like, burp, right? It lights up under the skin like an engine warning light. And when it detects the virus inside of your body, you've got enough time. They say that if it lights up, you will start to see symptoms the next day. How crazy is that? Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, the one and only, one of my favorites, Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman today is 71 years old. Hell, boy. Too many movies to list. But we'll just start with Hellboy. Jefferson Airplane OG bassist Jack Cassidy today is 76. Al Green, quite possibly the coolest man on planet Earth, today is 75. Let's stay together. E Street's Max Weinberg is 70. David Letterman, that's right. Wasp guitarist Randy Piper today is 63 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is Lewis Johnson. 1955 to 2015, died at the age of 60. Lewis was one of the greatest bassists in music history, influencing an entire generation of musicians. Of course, he was one half of the Brothers Johnson, and their album, Right on Time, won a Grammy and had that hit, man, Strawberry Letter number 23. One of my all-time favorite songs. Man, that is a great song. Lewis played on Michael Jackson's albums Off the Wall, Thriller, and Dangerous. Of course, Thriller being the biggest selling album of all time. That's Lewis Johnson playing the bass. Lewis died on May 21st, 2015 at the age of 60. The cause of death was bleeding of the esophagus. Happy birthday, Lewis. On this day in history, slap that bass, man. He called him King of the Thump, slapping the bass. On this day in history, OTD 1928, German pilot Hermann Kohl, Irish aviator James Fitzmaurice, and Baron von Hohenfeld complete the first non-stop Europe to North America transatlantic flight, taking off from Ireland and landing safely on a small Canadian island. island to island. So it wasn't like France to New York, but it was close enough. Fate or fact? Here you go. In 1974, U.S. Senator William Scott was named the dumbest member of Congress by a small fringe publication that nobody read or heard of. He called a press conference to deny it. He did. Which officially made him the dumbest member of Congress. Because now the entire world heard the news. Straight from him. And that is your Fate or Fact. Tonight, very special guest, Serena Wright Taylor is here. Not only do we love Serena, but her research has gone on for nearly her entire life. And when it comes to UFOs and ET, it's Serena. Love Serena. So tonight, and she has been telling me, Jimmy, I've got updates on Puerto Rico. I've got update. We've got to talk. And it's so well researched. And we're going to get to all of that tonight at the bottom of the hour. Tomorrow night, right here, Tracy Austin. She's going to be here to talk about her new book, I Survived Beyond and Back. And Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Right now, I need to hit this River Moon coffee. Oh, yeah. rivermoonwellness.com. Man. Today I was talking to a few people, and I caught. It's kind of funny when I can't tell how loud I talk. This voice is the voice you get. This is my voice. This is it. And it's loud. It is. It's loud. Right now, I've got compressors running. I've got two compressors in a chain to calm me down so we can get this mouth out onto the airwaves. Okay, that's just the way that it is. I'm talking to some people that watch, and I've been putting up with it my whole life. They wince. Dude. I can't help it. But I'm in a good mood. Okay. River Moon Wellness. rivermoonwellness.com. Promo code F2BBLEND, 15% off of your order today for the best coffee in the world. Such a deal. Yeah. Can we talk? Well, here we are once again with the UFO world starting to heat back up, with most of the world's media outlets covering the recent news of the Pentagon admitting that they have filmed some drones. And I find myself thinking, why, and I'm serious, why is this just a U.S. thing? And that's the way the media is treating this. And even further, why is it a U.S. Navy thing? Seems to have snuck up on us. Here's the deal. UFOs are an Earth thing. There are sightings and contact all over the planet, almost every single day. Now, the recent U.S. Navy images and video are certainly not any indication of ET contact. They may be, but the news coverage says, once again, that it's a U.S. Navy thing. And this bothers me. Today, I was speaking with someone loudly who was down in Mexico this past December. And he told me about an amazing sighting that he had. And he showed me a video. The video. Now, I'll describe it the best that I can. He said that it happened in the middle of the afternoon, bright, sunny day. And he's outside when something caught his eye up in the clear blue sky. His words, by the way. And he said that 5 lights approached him And he said that they were up very high. And he said that they were moving around like they were playing and having fun. Again, these are his words, not mine. So he said that they were moving slowly across the sky. He said that they weren't moving fast. And the motion that he was giving me, he said, they're just moving across the sky. And he's, right? And he said that they started to curve back. And then he said that they started to move around each other and then continue on. He also said that 3 of them stayed in a triangle formation, but it was turning like this, right? And the other 2 would fly around the 3, and the other 2 were just doing their thing. Right? I'm trying to imagine what he was describing. But then he showed me the video. Friggin' incredible. To be honest, it was exactly how he described it. It was literally 5 lit up objects without shape. And it's hard to tell on a cell phone video, but without any shape. It's too high up to see anything. They weren't close to the ground. I don't know about the altitude. Again, it's a cell phone video. And I'm looking at it on his cell phone. But they just cruised across the sky. And they were definitely interacting with each other. There were these 3, and they're staying together. It's hard to explain, but stayed at the same distance. And then these other 2 that were just crazy, man. Crazy. Now, the first thing that I thought of, I was like, it's birds. But as I watched the video over and over again, everything acted too mechanical, too smooth. Nothing was flapping. I was looking for that. I didn't see that. Nothing was changing shape. Nothing had erratic flight paths. Nothing. Just 5 lights in the sky having fun. Now, after about a minute or 2 in the video, they disappeared. They didn't fly away, by the way. It was just that one by one, they just kind of fizzled out. They weren't there. And you could see the blue sky, but then the next thing I know, there's one, and it was weird. And so he kept his cell phone recording. And he walked out of this gate that was in the front yard to get a better view. He goes out to the street, and you can see him opening up the gate, and he's looking at the same spot in the sky. You can see the tree that was... Anyway, they were gone. Nothing but a clear blue sky. It was strange. Now, this was in Mexico in December, not in the United States. Tonight on the show, we have Serena Wright Taylor with us to discuss what has been going on down in Puerto Rico. Not quite the U.S., if you know what I mean, but kind of U.S. by proxy. Anyway, the island has a long history with UFOs and ET contact and Arecibo and everything else that's going on down there. But it just doesn't get the conversation and the research that it deserves. Now, just to go back to the Homeland Security video that Joshua P. Warren revealed on Fade to Black a few years ago, that single event should have made the news all around the world. That video still bothers me to this day. It had everything. It had a flyover of a commercial airport. It was morphing its shape. It enters the water not once but twice, right? Flies away. It's crazy. And it didn't involve the U.S. Navy, which I guess is what determines media coverage these days. But the footage is much more impressive and more important than the Tic Tac, the gimbal, and the Go Fast combined. To be really upfront with all of you, the Mexico video that I saw today was in the same category as the Puerto Rican Homeland Security footage. Way impressive. I don't know what to make of it. But it wasn't shot by the U.S. Navy, so it doesn't count, right? And this is what concerns me. bringing on guests from the United Kingdom, from Europe, from around the world, to come on Australia, to come on this show and talk about the international side of things, what is going on with the research, is just as important as what goes on here in the United States. But today, and this bothers me, everybody, today, it seems that there are those out there that just want to make this a United States Navy thing. And it is not. Bothers me a lot. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor is here. We're going to discuss Puerto Rico. If you are watching on the Bunker Cam, if you're over on Facebook, if you're over on YouTube, and you're watching the video, and you want to see these images that she is sending over to me, you can go to Twitter, go to hashtag F2B, the sandbox, and the images will be posted there. Okay? All right. And that's it. Let's get out of here. Let's take our break. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. Tomorrow night, Tracy Austin. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Cal Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. We're going to be talking about Puerto Rico, UFOs, ET, and some other stuff tonight. A full update from Serena is coming up. Tomorrow night, Tracy Austin is here. She's going to talk about her new book. It's about NDE survivors. I survived beyond and back. And Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Tonight, it's Serena Wright Taylor. Serena is an award-winning conference producer, intuitive Vedic astrologer, UFO researcher, and humanitarian. And trust me, she is. She became interested in UFOs and extraterrestrials from experiences during childhood in England, which led her to study philosophies and meditation from a very young age. As associate producer with the Conscious Life Expo for the past 18 years, she runs the UFO section and Ancient Mysteries sections of the Expo. She is the host of the UFO panel and also produces the Ancient Secrets panel. She has traveled to Puerto Rico twice to research the major UFO activity there and keeps in touch with expert investigator journalist Jorge Martin and to keep up completely on everything with the Puerto Rico updates. I've got a cable tangled up around my foot. Her website is vamana.org, and I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Serena Wright Taylor. Serena, how are you tonight?
Hello, Jimmy. I'm great, and it's great to be back. And isn't it also great that now we can actually meet in person sometimes? We're free to roam about.
Yeah, I miss it so much, and it's so funny. It's the main subject that everybody wants to talk about is just getting back to normal. When are we going to do that? And I was looking at, I don't want to discuss COVID tonight, but I was looking at the numbers, looking at the charts, and it's going back up. It's going back up rapidly. It's pretty crazy. Here in the United States, it's chilling out somewhat. But the rest of the world is really dealing with it right now, and it's just incredible. It's gonna be 2 years, man.
Yeah,
2 years. Okay.
Well, as a Vedic astrologer, I will just tell you, we do feel it's going to improve and improve gradually. I mean, it's not overnight, but myself and all Vedic astrologers, we actually said this month is better because it starts a new period, because actually Jupiter has moved into Aquarius. And in tropical astrology, I know it was already there, but in the sky and in astronomy and in Vedic astrology, it has just gone in. And that was an important thing that had to happen in order for it to improve. So I think we are in gradual improvement. And of course, we can look forward to some conferences in person again.
This is the deal. This is the deal. Every time things get a little wonky out there, I watch the posts and I get the emails and I hear the conversation, Mercury's in retrograde again. And I'm thinking to myself, Mercury has been in retrograde for 14 months. That's my take. That's my take. We need to get out of this Mercury. We need to get rid of that planet. If we just got
it was a lot of other things actually all happening at once. No year is going to be like that. That is it for your lifetime, for my lifetime. That was the worst year.
Is that a pinky promise?
Yes.
It is. Oh man, and I was I want your insights on this. I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if you heard it, but I'll repeat myself briefly, that the media wants, it seems to me that the media wants this ET, UFO, UAP conversation to be a United States thing, and even more specifically, a U.S. Navy thing, Serena, and it is not.
Oh, no.
Contact and sightings go around the world every day.
Oh, absolutely. And Puerto Rico is very important. I think that if we all learn what's been going on there forever, and there's some accounts way back in the 40s, that we can understand more the UFO and ET situation in full, and it'll help with understanding how to, bring about disclosure. And then also, it's so full of all different kinds of ETs have appeared there. The, the Nordic type, the Greys. Then there's all different kinds of craft. There's underground base. There's undersea base. There's healing experiences people have had. There's a huge cover-up, of course. Men in Black being seen. So many things.
Well, why Puerto Rico? Arecibo is there. You have the United States Navy. You have the undersea development and war technology stuff that goes on there. There's a lot of activity, but why Puerto Rico? Why is ET so interested in that island?
What we're thinking is that because one thing, it's very cut off. It's not like you can just go down there really easily. So that's one thing. And that the ETs have been there in bases forever. There's this huge, the Mariana Trench, the very deep ocean there. And what it looks like is that the ETs were there first, and then the American military started putting bases because of that. That's what I think, that's what a lot of people think. And then a lot of places, they're called nature reserves. And it's good that they're nature reserves. I love that. But a lot of times that's how you can cover up things. If they don't want us to know they're there, the military or the whoever powers that be, call it a nature reserve. You're not allowed in, and so then you won't find out all the secrets that are going on. And in some of the stories I'm going to tell, that is it comes up loads of times. Nature reserve, and the thing is that I wouldn't have known anything about Puerto Rico without Jorge Martin and his wife, Marlene. And of course, we went to meet them and we went investigating with them. And so here's really the expert for Puerto Rico. And he has a magazine, and he's on Facebook as well. And he's speaking out a lot more now. And the amazing thing, there's some synchronicity going on, because I think we're shining light on Puerto Rico now more. Tracy Austin is going to be interviewing him. I don't know if you knew that.
No,
and
I did not.
She's on with you tomorrow.
Yes.
And something came up, and I couldn't find it again, and I didn't see the date. But isn't that great? So I think that now we're going to start talking about Puerto Rico, and people are going to find out more, and perhaps maybe more people can go there. We're going to go again next year. Of course, couldn't go this year, of course, but I think that if more people go there, it helps to not, whether you're interested in Puerto Rico itself, or that, having a vacation, or you want to see more about UFOs and ETs, it helps Puerto Rico too. The people there are wonderful, They love having visitors. We had the most amazing experiences. They're so hospitable. They love to have you visit. They'll talk to you about their life. And they will talk to you definitely about their ET experiences, especially the fishermen. And it's better for people who can speak Spanish fluently, and I don't speak it fluently. I just speak it a little. So, but if anyone speaks Spanish fluently, you can learn so much just from speaking to the fishermen and the people who have, seen these things.
And one of the things that I've always wanted to do in Puerto Rico is go see Arecibo, which now has self-destructed. And I find that interesting because of it was the star of the movie Contact, first off. It wasn't anybody else in the movie. It wasn't Matthew McConaughey. All right. It was Arecibo. And now that connection to the stars has been removed from this planet. And I wonder if ET knows that. I've really thought about this.
Yes. Well, that's what I asked Jorge, actually, the last time I spoke recently. And, because that's been in operation for 57 years. We went there, by the way. I can tell you about that. But I said, is that because it's ET, is something ET related? Did the ETs do it? Or he said, no, it's negligent. It's negligence. And that's what his words were. And it was already damaged before the Hurricane Maria. And then, they said it was going to be repaired. It didn't get repaired. And then it got worse, of course, with the hurricane. And so they're making, what I was reading just recently, is they're making a report to decide what to do. And so they could even, if, they're looking at how much it will cost and so on. And so they might replace the technology that was lost completely. They might replace it, or they might preserve what's there. But they're moving the debris from it now. And so, it's really important. And it had the most powerful beam that, in the radio telescopes of the whole world, I think. And
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I just looked at some recent pictures over the last week of Arecibo, and they have cleared it out, right? All of the cables and the main structure that came crashing down and broke the bottom of it. All of that is gone. But this is the thing. You can tell by looking at its condition now. They let it slip away from them. They weren't keeping the repairs up. They weren't doing maintenance on it. It was looking pretty shabby over the last 10 years. You would look at Arecibo and you're like, how does that even still work? Right? Because it just looked beat up. Well, and now we have nothing. I read this week that they are considering just doing a rebuild and getting it back up and running and moving on. And I certainly hope that they do that.
Oh, I hope they do. Yeah, it was incredible when we were
there.
Now
tell me, tell me about when you arrived there. How dramatic was it?
Well, Puerto Rico in general has the most incredible energy. Of course, my husband Douglas, he had his first UFO experience there way before he knew me. It was when he was 28. And I think he's been on your show and talked about that. And that's how he became an artist, a visionary artist, because of that. And those were very incredible, like Nordic type beings. But he feels that energy again when he's there. I feel it as well, just without even the telescope or anything. I just felt it. So yeah, it is incredible, and it sort of comes upon you quickly. You're going kind of around the hills, and you have and then there's a lot of trees and everything, and then suddenly there's the telescope, and it is amazing. And then when we were there, we went with the best people to go with, as Jorge and Martin and Marlene, and everyone, of course, the Arecibo scientists always deny anything about UFOs. UFOs don't exist, ETs are not. But the UFOs are right over. They've been seen right over the whole telescope. And so we spoke to two guards. And the first guard, he said that one day he was driving away, going home from the observatory to the south. And a huge metallic sphere appeared, and it was motionless in the sky. And it said it had no doors or windows or anything. It was just this big sphere. And he says, UFOs are real. And he's guarding it, and he's out there guarding it at the door. And then all the scientists inside say there's no UFOs. And then the second guard, right there on that same day, he said he's seen UFOs several occasions. And he said they're also spheres that he saw, and they were bluish white. And he said they suspend themselves sort of motionless over the observatory, and they change size. So they can be big, or they can, diminish to a small size. And when I hear things like that, I know, because in Vedic studies, we learn about the yogic siddhis, which is the abilities people have on the higher planets, on the more advanced planets. And one of the abilities is mahima and anima, where you can make yourself or an object much larger, or you can make yourself or an object much smaller without anything disrupting the actual structure of the craft or yourself. So on other planets, in other words, that is an actual ability, just like we have abilities, So he saw that, and then also when we went to the observatory cafe, and the man who was the manager there, he said in the bottom of his garden he would see, something walking around, but it was a being that was light or an orb or different things like that at the bottom of his garden. And when the scientists come over, he often asks them, "Have you seen anything?" And they say, "You will never see an extraterrestrial." That's what they told him. And of course he's already seen this thing, but they say there are no such thing, and they come and eat there. So
now that's very interesting. And so you talked to two guards of Arecibo that have seen craft, but the scientists that are working there, they know that you're a UFO researcher, right? They probably figured that out pretty quickly.
We didn't talk to the scientists. They're saying that
publicly. Oh, you didn't get a chance to you couldn't even talk to the scientists?
No. There's a lot of things you can see when you're there. And it's not like talking to the scientists, but I'm just saying this is what the scientists say publicly, and this is what the scientists say when they go to the cafe too.
Oh man, you needed to have me there. If I was there, we'd be in the control room, we'd be looking at the computers, we'd be moving mice around and clicking on things and asking questions.
Oh, that would be great. But Jorge has spoken to a lot of people, but they always say that. They always say nothing's happening, and but he knows there is some proof. Actually, there was something published where there was a scientist who was in. I don't have the name in front of me.
That's okay.
But there was a paper published that where he was in a secret discussion about what to do about the ET situation, and so that they are really doing that. They're just telling everybody. I mean, it's not all of them, but certain ones, they know.
Right. And I was talking about that earlier in the show, that Homeland Security video that was taken in Puerto Rico a few years ago. That video is one of the most incredible UAP, UFO, call it what you will, videos that I've ever seen. And that was in Puerto Rico. And that video, as you know, Serena, that had everything in it. You've got a government plane that is videotaping with their cameras. You've got all the telemetry. You've got everything is up on the screen. It flies over the commercial airport. This occurs in southwest Puerto Rico, where the international airport is. Flies over the airport. Then and is tracked by radar and everything, flies into the water, comes out of the water, flies back into the water, comes back out and flies away. That's one of the most incredible videos I have ever seen, and that was in Puerto Rico.
Yes, exactly. And that's actually nothing compared to some of the things that have happened. So I think I should really give a sort of a background about the area that we like to investigate.
Sure.
Laguna Cartagena, because it's good to know what the one major thing that happened there. But I think you might have heard it already, but there's all around that, there's a whole story. So Laguna Cartagena is the big lake in southwest Puerto Rico. And if you were looking at a map, you would see, it's very big. You can see the lake there. And next to it is the Sierra Bermeja Mountains. And so I'll be mentioning them quite a bit. And then after that, there's the sea. And so that was actually May 31st, 1987, when everything, it didn't actually start then, but it increased then hugely. So that's when there was a tremor and an explosion, and the explosion was underground. And everyone knew it was under the lake. And the building shook, and, the ground cracked, and blue smoke started coming out. And this is a fact. I know it sounds extreme, but everyone saw this, and there's so many witnesses. And they reported officially. First of all, they did report that it was coming from underneath the lake, and then officially they were saying, no, it's out in the ocean. The tremor was out in the ocean. But I think everyone thinks that was to take the focus away from the lake, because everyone started going there. And what happened was the next day, there was a huge UFO over the lake, and the witnesses, a lot of them live in this little place called Maguayo, and it's a little community near the lake. And they saw, so many people saw the same thing. They saw a cylindrical object, and it had very bright lights on either side, like they were stars, and light in the middle. And it was suspended over the lake for about 15 minutes, and then it flew off and disappeared over the Sierra Bermeja Mountains. And so many witnesses said they saw this. And then frequently people had seen UFOs go in and out of the Laguna Cartagena anyway, and behind the Sierra Bermeja, but it started to increase then. And then behind the mountains near Paguera, which is near the ocean, there was they weren't crop circles, they were circles, as if something very large had sat there, and the rim of it, the circular rim, had indented the ground, and the grass was dead in that area, and it was about 35 to 40 feet wide. And then there was more of them. The next night there was more of those rings, and then they also saw oval objects, and people started seeing small beings, and they described them that these beings had a faint glow of their bodies. And then when people tried to go up to them, they would just move away really fast. And one lady in Maguaro, she was on her balcony. Well, she went out on her balcony because there was a big beam of light, and there was a UFO shining the light there. And when she looked at her body, it was like an X-ray. Because she looked at her hand, and it was like the bones, and then her toes. And then her sister came out, because, there was this soft humming going on, this light. And she looked at her sister, and she could see her like a skeleton. Like, it was dark, and then where her eyes were supposed to be, it was just dark,
Mm-hmm.
And it was incredible. And it didn't harm them, but they just, it was so weird. Meanwhile, blue smoke continued to come out of everything. And there was another tremor as well, a little bit after that. But there was a big red ball of fire that people saw several times, and it disappeared into the lake, and they described it as a big ball of fire. And then the next day, a tremor came. Now, officially then, they reported it as 81,000 feet, the tremor, under the lake. Then this blue smoke, it was coming from the lake as well as people's gardens and the cracks in the ground. And of course, the next day, jets came.
Yeah, I heard about
came.
There was a full flyby by the United States Air Force and Navy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say flyby. I would say like they were there everywhere. And they would fly low, and they would go around and around the lake. And then, those AWACS surveillance planes as well. And that even, the people, the fishermen, they would see all these things going on when they're out in the ocean as well.
Now, where's Cartagena in Puerto Rico?
So the southwest corner, if you look at the map, the southwest corner, you see the blue lake there. And there is the Sierra. It says, are you looking at a map? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm doing this for the audience. I can see it. I just wanted you to tell everybody where it was.
Because and then there's the Sierra Bermeja. Those are the mountains there, and then you see behind that well, there's Cabo Rojo on one side, Lajas on the other side, lake in the middle. And then I can tell you later about the Cabo Rojo lighthouse. That's not near Cabo Rojo, the town. That's in the La Bahia Sucia, which means the dirty bay, but it's not dirty, it's salt flats. And I'm going to tell you all about that because that's where we encountered an alien. But I'll just tell you a little bit more about, so Laguna Cartagena, this smoke kept going. And so one man, he got in touch with the Mayaguez Agricultural and Mechanical Arts College, and which is part of the University of Puerto Rico. And they came and they looked at everything and all that blue smoke and all the cracks in his ground, because he was worried, is a volcano going to happen?
Mm-hmm,
and but they didn't take any samples. And he was always saying to Jorge, well, this is so weird because it's like the most extreme thing. And you'd think, because it's like they specialize in engineering and agricultural techniques, and you'd think they would want to take samples, but they didn't. Meanwhile, Laguna Cartagena is getting this blue smoke coming out of it, and the military are there and in fatigues and uniforms, and some plainclothes ones are trying to look like they're not, they're not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also people in fancy suits, or men in fancy suits, which is really interesting, kind of like the Men in Black kind of thing. And then the people in coveralls and dark gray gloves and boots, they were taking samples from the water itself, and they had radiation detectors. And so they were keeping everyone out of the way. And then one lady, this is when the lady said to Jorge, that she had been seeing UFOs, her whole family, in and out of the lake. They had seen them since 1956. And she's so happy that now it's getting taken seriously. But it would be no problem at all. And her brother would kind of try to contact or speak to the ETs telepathically. So then the official announcement was, these are Earth lights. And there's these geological tremors, and they're not UFOs, they're Earth lights. So that's what they were saying.
Yeah, what's an Earth light? Now, I remember some of the details about this event because it was absolutely extraordinary.
Yes.
But one after another said the lights appeared, the crafts were going into the water, and we've been watching this forever. This is not a new event. Mm-hmm. This isn't something that just happened. It's been going on here for a long time, and nobody wants to pay attention to us. And I found that very, very interesting because there was a genuine frustration there.
Absolutely. And there was there was another man. This is interesting because of these sort of Men in Black types that were around, trying to make people think that nothing much is happening.
Well, hold it right there. We'll pick up with the Men in Black at Cartagena when we come back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, the one and only Serena Wright Taylor is here. We're talking about all of the updates with UFOs and ET and contact and everything else in Puerto Rico. Coming to her from Jorge Martin, who obviously lives in Puerto Rico and is a researcher there. We'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to forbiddenknowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today and use coupon code 30 days free. That's coupon code 30 days free on forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein the Ancient Crystal Skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor is here talking about Puerto Rico, getting all of the UFO and ET updates. And we'll get right to it. And Serena, right before the break, you're talking about Men in Black at Lake Cartagena. Let's finish that thought.
Yes, and I'm by the way, I'm leading up to one of the biggest things that ever happened in UFO history. So this is kind of setting the scene. But these Men in Black appeared. People didn't always call them Men in Black, but they had blonde hair. They were very pale, and they had a nice suit on. Anyway, this one of the Puerto Ricans who Jorge interviewed went to see what was going on by the lake, and it was in the evening and the next day, and he got tapped on the shoulder, and the man said in kind of an American accent. He spoke Spanish, I think, but in an American accent. You shouldn't really be here. And he said, oh, but I'm just looking to investigate what happened. And he said, we're already investigating it. And it's just something natural, something like that. And you had better leave. So he left. And that was what was happening to a lot of people. So then, March 4th, 1988, there was another explosion in the southwest of Puerto Rico. And then this is when two huge balls of light came down into the lagoon. And there was more jets. And then, I'm sure you know about this one, December the 28th, 1988, at 7:45 p.m., two U.S. Navy jet fighters, I think this rings a bell with a lot of people, disappeared into a huge triangular UFO. And there was 115 witnesses, and we actually went to talk to some when we were there. So there was three jet fighters, and they were chasing this huge UFO that was triangular shaped. And the two disappeared as they were trying to intercept the UFO. They just disappeared. They didn't crash or anything. It's like they were abducted into it or something like that. And then the third one was fled away because the big ship was sending balls of light at it. So it's like three balls of light came out of the big triangular ship, and the third jet flew away. And then the UFO split into two triangular objects. And one went one way, one went north, and one went east. And then people consider that like it's such an important thing. And definitely 115 witnesses came forward. I'm sure there's a lot more. And then we went to talk to a husband and wife. So Jorge and Marlene took us to a place, or to someone's home. And the man said, yeah, he saw the whole thing. He described just what I said, just what everyone else had said. And he remembers it really well, obviously. But his wife, she was there as well, but she said she didn't want to look at it because it was the devil. She thought that it might be the devil, and if you look at it, something could happen. So sometimes people feel that way about those things. But that was amazing. And then, of course, the government leased the area. So so-called for wildlife preservation, and we hope that is happening. Of course, we like that, but it's an excuse to put up double wires. When we went there twice, we had to climb under two barbed wire fences. But previously, people could go out on the deck. There's a sort of a pier there. You can walk out, and previously people could just come out and see the wildlife and the birds and everything. But the government have leased it in agreement with U.S. Wildlife and Fishing Service. And then they also put an aerostat up near La Bahia Sucia by the Cabo Rojo Lighthouse. And it's a radar blimp. And it's tethered there. And it's supposed to be to prevent drug smuggling. But of course, it's because of all these UFOs. I mean, they're keeping an eye on it. It's so obvious. And then people see UFOs hanging about or doing something to this blimp, and then it disappears for a while to be repaired. It's down for repairs, and then it goes back up again. Isn't that's so interesting? And also, these blimps, these aerostats, there's one in Gulf Breeze, Florida, and there's one in Marfa, Texas. That's really interesting?
It is interesting, and I've seen the pictures, and it just sits there tethered above the lake. It's obvious why it is there. It's not there for drugs. Not in I can't speak for Puerto Rico in general, but where the lake sits, it's surrounded by jungle and mountains.
Yes, absolutely. And there might be some, from the Dominican Republic. That's the story, but it's really about the UFOs. And so we went there twice, as I was saying. The first time was with Jorge and Marlene, and once we got in near the lake, when you know that UFOs go through the ground, I mean, it's so interesting, through the ground, through the water. I mean, you're just trying to figure out how is this happening, and you're walking around, and And so amazing thing happened, a really weird thing. So we were there and no one's around, of course, because you have to climb in. You're not really supposed to be in there. And then Marlene called us over to under a tree. And under a tree, there was some clothing that was partially burnt. Now, this wasn't like someone had been camping or, it wasn't muddy. It wasn't even old looking. It was new looking. And there was a lady's shoes. I remember seeing these ladies' shoes, and they were partially burnt. And then there was a young man's shoes and nice clothing. Nothing wrong with it. Not the kind of clothing someone who was homeless would be wearing or camping would be wearing. Mm-hmm. So they're all under this tree. And then there's also these videotapes. And they'd been out in the sun a while. So we thought, well, did these people, what's going on? Did these people see too much or something? I mean, that's what you're thinking, And so then Jorge and Marlene took the tapes back because, even at that time, we weren't really using tapes, but they had a way to try to put them together. And they couldn't. They said they would fall apart in their hands because they'd been out in the sun so long. But I thought that was a really interesting thing to find there when there's no one around and you've got these really good clothes and they're burnt. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. What was on those videotapes?
Right, exactly. What did they see? Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. So shall I talk a little bit about our time when we thought, well, I think there was an ET watching us. And shall I tell you about that story?
Yeah, let's get into that. And these are the 3 images that you sent me.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty interesting images. I'm going to post these up on Twitter, and the tweet just went out now, so everybody can go over to #F2B to the sandbox, and you can see these 3 images. And Serena, I'm going to let you set this up, but the 3 images, everybody, one is from a distance, and what's weird, now I can't get the ET out of my eyeballs, right? But one's from a distance, one is a little closer, and then the third one is an extreme close-up, and it's digital, so you can see the pixelization as it, but you can clearly see something in the trees there, and it may be the trees, the vegetation, but he's green.
Yes.
He's green with, that is about as classic of, and he's just right there. It's pretty incredible. Okay, so set this up. How did this happen?
What happened? So the reason why we were there, though, why I wanted to go to this particular, it's a dry forest. So how this happened, this is not actually at the lake. It's not far from the lake. So this was the second time we came to Puerto Rico. And at that time, Jorge Martin was actually in America. So we didn't go with him, but I was following his information and examining and investigating. And one of the reasons why when I wanted to go down to Cabo Rojo Lighthouse, which is the point in La Bahia Sucia, is because a man had died mysteriously. So his name was Diego Segarra, and he had seen UFOs many, many times, and he had been talking to Jorge about them. He lived in that area, and he had a friend who had a new video camera, and he was trying it out. He was down there in the Seo Bermeja, trying out his new video camera. And he had it, he saw a UFO land. And when he did, he kept the video camera running. He didn't expect to see UFO land. So he hid behind the bushes. And then this UFO landed. And 2 little gray beings got out. And then one of those strange men with the blonde hair and the suit. And he got into an army truck with 2 army men. It drove off. Then the 2 little grays got back into the craft and it took off. And he got the whole thing on videotape. So he goes and tells his friend, Diego Segarra, who I'm talking about. So then what happened was that videotape got confiscated, because when he went back, that Diego's friend, we don't know his name, he went back to work. He talked about what he saw to people at work, thinking it was okay, but it wasn't. So, so they came. They were waiting for him at home. They confiscated the videotape. They said, "Did you make any copies?" They were interrogating his family, and of course, they found out he told Diego Segarra, his friend. And so then they went to Diego Segarra, told him, "You mustn't say anything. Don't ever have anything to do with your friend again. You mustn't speak to him or anything." So he didn't, and he was kind of sad about that. So they couldn't even talk to each other. So then Diego Segarra called Jorge one day because he'd found something new. He said, "Found something new near Cabo Rojo Lighthouse. Would you want to come and see it?" He said it was important. So Jorge said, "Yes, definitely." But he, it's kind of come in a few weeks, and then he could show him. But a couple of weeks after that, Diego was found dead. And he had died under really strange circumstances. He had shot himself. No one in the house heard it. Then one of the neighbors heard it, but not the people in the house. Very strange. And he was not unhappy. He was not having any trouble at all. But they just were saying that's the story and that's how it was. So anyway, I wanted to find out what it was he found. I thought, well, could we possibly find that out? And it's funny, but that's maybe the planets in my 8th house, astrologers would say. But that happened to someone. I want to go find out. I want to go there. So we drove towards Cabo Rojo Lighthouse. So as we were going, there was a museum there. And so it's all, natural. But there's one little building to see about, what animals live in the area, the butterflies, the birds, to teach you about the area. So we went in this little building, and then we came out, and there was a telescope, to look through for visitors on the other side of the road. So we went up there. It was a little platform, and we could see over all the salt flats. They're really interesting. But they were all pointing one way. They were pointing out to the salt flats, the telescopes. And I was saying, well, what about this, forest next to that building, next to that museum? Because it said, "Do not walk on the salt flats." And I thought, what is that? Why don't they want us over there? And why the telescopes don't point to that? So we went over there because I actually said to Douglas, "I think there's aliens in there." I actually said that to him. And that's not unusual for me to say.
Let me stop you right there. The picture is incredible. I'm watching everybody's reaction on Twitter, and if you want to see what we're talking about, just go #F2B. It's up. All 3 images. The first image, close up, and then an extreme close up. But let me ask you this, Serena. Mm-hmm. What made you feel that there was something there? You said, I just said that, there's something here. There's ETs here. What gave you that feeling?
I suppose it's because they were there, but it's not unusual for me to kind of say that in Puerto Rico because I get very excited, as you can imagine. And it's the same kind of feeling as being in crop circles. And even the ones that are not, there was some, obviously I did a lot of crop circle research back then in the day in England. And there's a certain feeling you'd get when you really think this crop circle's real, or you really know there's been some activity because there's a lot of orbs there and all that. And there's a certain
was there like an electricity in the air, some electromagnetic activity?
It's an alien feeling, but it wasn't a bad alien feeling. It was otherworldly, I suppose you could say, something like that. And, so actually it got quite strong when I was in there. So I started taking pictures. First of all, we had to kind of climb across these salt flats that were in front of it where it said you shouldn't walk on them. So that made me suspicious right away because, if they want you to go and look around this little, it's a butterfly place and, there's going to be, birds and butterflies and things to look at. But you can't really get to it because you have to go through these salt flats. So I started taking photos the whole time. I took about 30 of them. And we went deeper and deeper into this. And it's beautiful because it's so thick. A dry forest because there's not so much water, the trees have a lot of trunks to them. And the cactus, of course, there's these big saguaro cactuses. So there's cactus trees, and it's called a subtropical dry forest. And I felt really strange. So there was a point where we really had been walking for a long time, and it's supposed to circle, because you get a little map in that museum there. It's supposed to circle around and come back, but it's so long that I thought, well, let's go back, because we still want to see the Cabo Roja Lighthouse. We want to go in the sea there and everything. So let's go back now in case this just keeps going on and on. So we turned around, and that's when I felt more strange, because it was as if something might have been following us, and I couldn't hear anything. And in fact, what was weird is we couldn't even hear any birds except one at one time, and it's supposed to be a bird sanctuary area. So that's when I felt strange. I kept taking photos, especially in the dark places, because I knew that the ETs, the gray type ETs that were supposed to be there, they don't like to be in the bright light. So I thought, oh, you never know, because I'm getting that feeling. And but I didn't think that anything was there, because we came to the end. I took one last picture, and the picture is that one, because I thought, let's take one picture of the sort of the trail, because then I might show people we were on this trail, and and this is what we saw. And the thing is, I didn't see that thing watching us. So we got not until we got back to the hotel, and I put all these 30 pictures on this TV screen, because it was on a little camera in those days. I just had a camera and maybe a different kind of cell phone. I think we had. I can't remember if we had a cell phone. So and actually we had been followed when we went to the bay, and I can tell you that in a minute. But I didn't know that I'd have this ET there, that I'd taken a picture of it. So of course you could. If someone could say, "Oh, that's just a lump on a tree."
Oh, no, that's. No, that's not a lump on a tree. That is a little dude.
Yeah.
Looking at you guys, you can see everything. He's pretty skinny too. You can the shape of his head. This is one of the most incredible pictures I have ever seen. That's absolutely incredible. I want everybody to go and see for yourself. Head over to hashtag F2B. You go to my feed too as well at Jimmy Church Radio or at J Church Radio, and you can see it. When you look at the first image, now that you know where to look, he's right there. You go to the second image, and it's pretty incredible. You go to the third image, and that is crazy town. You know what it reminds me of? What was the movie with Joaquin Phoenix and where they live in the farmhouse with the cornfield? They're wearing the tinfoil hats. Joaquin Phoenix is the son. I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but that could have come straight out of that movie. That's incredible. Did you
kind of cameras we have now? They'd have been so much better.
Yeah,
this was a very,
totally
like a regular little old camera.
Did you feel like you were being watched though?
Yes, that's what I felt. I felt like we were being watched. So since the time we turned around to go back where we'd been coming from, that's when I felt something might be following us, and now we're going to double back, and it's going to have to go past it. We're going to have to. I actually was thinking that, but I can be very creative in my mind, and so I was not sure if I was psychically knowing that, or if I was kind of thinking, because I had heard of, not there, but in the El Yunque forest, many people had been followed by ETs. Many people had been. And they, in fact, one whole family, they were there once, and the husband had seen the ETs along the side, like kind of following them along the side, but he didn't tell the family, and he knew they'd be scared, and so he said calmly, I think we should go back. It's getting a bit dark. And then they all went back, and he didn't tell them till I don't think he ever told them. He must have told them, because he told Jorge and they would all pound out. But because he knew they'd be, scared, and they'd run and fall and stuff.
The movie I was thinking of was Signs.
Oh, Signs, yeah, Signs with the cross.
That's straight out of the movie Signs. Now, Serena, I'm a little upset with you right now, and I'm just going to tell you why. I've known you forever. How come I don't hear about this and see this image until 2021? You better think about what your answer is. Think about what you're about to say.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I thought I had told you.
How many times have I been to your home? You never said, Jimmy, I got to show you this picture.
I know.
Douglas and I were in Puerto Rico, and we were getting observed by little green men in the forest, and I got a picture of what
I
gives?
should have said that. Because I was often telling you I want to talk about Puerto Rico and tell you what happened.
No,
but I never really told you.
I'm in shock. This is one of the most incredible pictures that anybody has ever taken, and it turns out to be with a friend of mine, and I've never seen it. That's incredible. Look at that.
And it looks like one of his arms, he's pushing back some leaves.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing like that next to him. There's no lumps and bumps like that. You can see the shape of the head.
You can see his ear. You can see his eyes. Yeah. That's crazy. That's that's a Class A picture right there. That is spot on the money. Yeah, I'm upset with you. I don't know if I want to see you again. This is crazy. This is crazy. You said you took about 30 pictures.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gone back and looked at them as closely as you can.
I went through them all, and that was the one. I just couldn't see anything on the other ones. And of course, they were all going forward. And then when we doubled back, that was the last one I took, which would make more sense for the ET to be more coming out and looking at us,
Yeah, the close-up where you can see all the detail, that's great. But when you go back to the original picture and look at him back there, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's an amazing image.
You would see if you were just kind of looking around. You wouldn't know.
And you said something very interesting as we head to the break. I want to go back and visit this again. This is a bird sanctuary full of birds. Buds are everywhere, chirping, having fun.
Well, they should be.
Being birds, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you heard nothing.
Yeah, there was only, earlier on, there was a bird singing. But then there was nothing. And when we got through, there were some salt flats on the other side, and there were some birds, wading in there and things. But when we came back, there was nothing there. They were quiet. And I think because they knew there was something strange. But then, we went on to the bay, and then there was a military man, and he followed us. We went into the water. I didn't swim or anything. I was just kind of paddling there in the water, and Douglas didn't. It wasn't for surfing. Douglas was surfing a lot in Puerto Rico. That's why he likes to go now too. The surfing's really important. But we weren't surfing. It's very peaceful. You can't surf there, but it's incredible. The water's so warm. So we were there, and we didn't know that ET had seen us or anything. So a military man comes next to us, stands there with binoculars looking out at the little aerostat. And I could tell because it had army on his shorts. That's how I knew. And he had a timer or something around or watch around his neck. And so he was listening to us because he couldn't help but hear us. And why was he standing so near? So we were acting like tourists. I said to Douglas, let's act like tourists. And so let's not talk about ETs, So we were just talking about, anything, the water and having fun. And he was standing there. So I just think perhaps they knew that we had gone there. And then on the way back, we went on a little dirt track behind the lake. Because,
okay, stop right there. Dirt track. Yes, let's take our break. This is Fade to Black. I'm blown away. That's one of the most incredible pictures I have ever seen. I've seen a lot of images. Go to #F2B, or you can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can check it out for yourself. Our guest tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. More with Serena right after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor is here. Full Puerto Rico UFO ET update. How was that image? It's an incredible picture. More with Serena in just a minute. I want to talk to you about the one and only Virtual Shield VPN. And it's important. And the reason why I'm looking around the studio here, Virtual Shield, I wish you could see the studio. I'll take pictures of it. But it's incredible. I've got computers all along this wall. I've got computers all in front of me. I've got computers on the floor, computers over there. Everything has Virtual Shield VPN. I'm at a completely secret, undisclosed location. Nobody knows where I am. There's a reason why we moved the bunker. And having Virtual Shield means not only does nobody know where I am, nobody can find me, nobody can look at my internet search traffic, nobody can find my ISP, nobody can know anything about me. I do it all with Virtual Shield VPN. You've got to get your own VPN, and you've got to do it now. Designed from the ground up. absolutely a strict no-log policy. Encrypted servers all around the world, hiding everything that you do. That's why you've got to get Virtual Shield VPN. It's simple to do. You can click on the link in the video description box below. You can go to virtualshield.com/fade to black. Either way is simple, but both are going to get you 50% off of Virtual Shield VPN today. Do it now. virtualshield.com/fade to black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. And Serena, I don't know how we top that image. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. You've got some making up to do. You're going to have to cook some incredible food the next time I come down to hang out with you and Douglas. That's an incredible picture. I can't believe that I'm just now seeing it for the first time, as is everybody else. I want to say this. Eric Stitt, the artist, just posted, he said this on Twitter. He said, Miss Serena ain't just talking like all the others. She brought the effing evidence. He said, and then he says, "Welp, I'll sleep next year." That's a disturbing photo. It's an excellent image, but yeah, it's disturbing too. You were being watched. You were being observed. And that's absolutely incredible. He does look like he's pulling, he's pulling some vegetation to the side, and he's just peeking at you. He's got the little lean on his shoulder. That's an incredible picture, Serena.
They seem to be very inquisitive. The little greys, the little ETs. They have never, they don't really give trouble to people. The people in Puerto Rico, as I was saying earlier, they always say it was the military or what happens to them once they've seen one or once they've had an encounter. And how they're scared away or they're scared from talking about it or something worse, like I was saying about the story. And we don't know what Diego Segarra actually saw. I don't suppose it was just the ET in the forest, because lots of people have seen that actually, but it was something else.
Now, you guys went to the beach. You got Men in Black there. You've got somebody looking at the blimp, and you're being observed a second time.
That's what I thought. And then we go
to the dirt track, right?
Right. I wanted to go behind the lake. And the reason I wanted to go there was that before Jorge had told us about a boy who had gone back there. He had felt that he should go because he had been at home really wanting to see extraterrestrials, really wanted to, he'd heard about them, he really wanted to see one. And he, in his head, there was they said, go to the back of the lake. So he went to the back right there where there's nothing except it's not a real road, it's just a track. And 3 beings came towards him. Actually, I think it was a human and 2 ETs, but they were like the ones Douglas saw. They were or encountered. They were human-looking with blonde hair, the very beautiful Nordic types, and they were sparkling and incredible. And they gave a wonderful, energy. But even though they were trying to calm him and they were walking towards him, he felt scared because he was alone and it was actually dark. And I think it's really normal to feel scared. So he left. He was on his little bike and he left.
This is all the same encounter.
No, this is nothing to do with our encounter. This is a boy that we heard about.
Oh, I thought this all happened on the same day.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, man, this is too much, man. I can't handle it.
I know. Isn't it amazing? No, this is why I went to the back of the lake, because I heard about the story and I knew that they were the kind of ETs that Douglas encountered. So I thought, you never know, they might come and see us. So on the way back, there's no one around, and we went to the back of the lake. It was beginning to get dark, and so we went slowly and didn't see anything. But as we came to the end of that track, in comes a military truck really fast. And there's no reason for them to do that, right? Except that we were there. There's nothing there. There's no base. There's no buildings. So they come really fast. And so if they had come up when we were there, they would have blocked. I mean, you couldn't have got past. You had to go back again, So that was very interesting. So I'm always looking for things like that. And so I was saying, Douglas, I think they're there for us. And he's not so sure, you know. But I really thought that's what it was. So that was a bit of excitement. And at that time, I didn't even know I had the picture of the ET.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. So that's a story from.
That's a story. That's a. You know, I remember. This is why why I'm getting angry. I remember one time you and I were sitting. The conference had just ended. This was a few years ago, and you came over to my room to say thank you, and we hung out and had coffee, and we talked for like an hour. And I know you remember that, right? And
yes.
That was the opportunity to show me the picture right then. Then. You could have told me the story right then. We were just hanging out, drinking coffee, talking UFOs. But no, you keep the good stuff to yourself, Serena. I see what's going on.
This had gone in the UFO magazine a long time ago, too. I mean...
Oh, sure. They saw it first. They saw it before me. I'm sure they did. Sure they did. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay, what's next?
So would you I was going to at the beginning talk about the first thing that I heard about Puerto Rico and why we really wanted to go there. And I love this. It is so incredibly far out. And I don't know if everyone's heard it. Because this was back in the early 90s when we were at Whole Life Expo, and I used to help at Whole Life before Conscious Life. And, you know, there was a UFO section there as well, and UFO researchers like Bob Dean and so forth. And I was much younger. And and I started hearing about Puerto Rico, and actually it was coming from Jorge Martin before I knew him, of course. And there was some, typed out information, and people were talking about it. And it was incredible, especially then, because we didn't have internet and stuff. We had to go by what people were saying, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that time in Puerto Rico, there was an owner of a restaurant, and I actually went there later, and I went to this whole place later twice to kind of check up on it. But the owner of the restaurant, his name was Manuel Figueroa, and he was awoken in the middle of the night and by people saying, "You've got to come down to the restaurant. Someone's broken into it. You've got to come." So he got in his car and he went down there, and there was stuff thrown around. The door, of course, was open. There was food thrown about. It looked like the fridge was open. Chairs were knocked down. It wasn't like anything had really been stolen, sort of messed up. And he didn't know why the people were so distraught, the people who had found this or seen this happen. And he said, "Well, what's wrong then? I mean, it's not so bad, and I can clean this up." And they said, "But they were not human, and they went that way." So he thought, "Oh, let's see." So he got in his car, and this was Carretera 101. This is a kind of a famous road there where a lot has happened, near Laguna Cartagena, of course. This is why I told the whole story about the base under it, because I wanted, all these other things kind of, I'm telling you, around that area. And another road that's really important is 303, so there's a lot happening on that one as well. But 101, so he was driving down there, and he turned around a curve, and there was the 5 beings, and they were walking along the road, just in the middle of the road. And one of them, I think maybe a couple of them, looked at him. And they had these lights. Their eyes were like lights. It's like white lights that came from their eyes. And he got in his head the message, "Don't come any closer." But he knew they weren't going to hurt him. He felt they won't hurt me. They just want me to drive slowly. So he went really slow. And, he just kept getting the message, "Stay away." And he was looking at them and noticing that they had, big heads, no lips, large eyes. And they also had 3 toes, these particular ETs, long arms. And another thing they had that was a little different is they had pointed ears, these ones. And of course, a lot of them there don't, but these particular ones had pointed ears. And so then, as he kept following them, they got to a bridge which has a little stream in it that goes to the lake, and they climbed over that and disappeared. So that was like one of the most interesting things I ever heard. And then he goes home, and later next day he has a phone call, and they said, "Don't ever speak of this. Something bad will happen."
Didn't he drive by them and like look at them face to face, and they watched him drive by, right?
No, this particular one, there might have been another one, because this is so common. This is not, so this particular one, they looked at him, they turned, so their heads turned back to look at him with that light shining. So you might have thinking, like people might think, oh, he drove by them because he saw their faces, but they looked back at him, and they gave him the telepathic message, stay away. And so that's why he drove really slow, but at a distance, just to take the whole thing in. And he said he wasn't scared, he was fascinated, because he knew they weren't going to harm him if he kept a distance. And so he was warned, and it was in Spanish, but with a kind of an American accent, that you do not say anything. And he was wondering, how did they get his phone number, because it was under someone else's name. And so this is so incredible. And nothing happened to him, because he didn't actually talk about it for a long time. I don't know how much time went by, but he told Jorge Martin when he met him, maybe a couple of years after that or something. So it wasn't that he went and told him right away, because, he was warned not to, right? So then we went I had to go there. So first of all, with Jorge, we went on the 101 many times. And of course, just thinking about what happened is so incredible, and saw the restaurant and the bridge. And then when I went back with Douglas, I really wanted to get some photos of the bridge, and I did actually, but I didn't send them to you because it's just the bridge. It's not really, I don't know if that's really interesting. There's no ETs on it, but it was to me. And the funny thing that happened was that at that time, our second visit, astrologically, Douglas had Mars on his moon. And all astrologers are going to say to me, why is he going on a journey with Mars on the moon? Because, it happens every 2 years. We get that transit, but it's not at all recommended for travel, because you always have problems. And what happened was he kept getting flat tires in the car and various things like that. So he got a flat tire, and it was right in front of the bridge. And so I jumped out of the car and I said, this is incredible. This is the bridge I want to take photos of. And so what a perfect place to have a flat tire. So I go running off with my camera, and Douglas has to change the tire.
You got to love it. The Mars transit with the moon. So, and today we've got other things that I want to talk about, but back to Jorge Martin. How often do you guys share information?
Oh, well, I just spoke to him recently, and I was talking about Arecibo mostly. And, something else I was asking him about, and this is a mystery that he doesn't know either. Maria, because we haven't been there since that happened, the Hurricane Maria. And that was very destructive. And what he always told us, and what we always thought, was perhaps the ETs are protecting Puerto Rico, because so many hurricanes would come through and they didn't do much harm. They kind of passed it, by one side, and then they'll go to other islands, but not Puerto Rico. So we always felt, it's because the ETs are there. But that was so much devastation that, we don't know why, because I think they have enough power to change, with all the technology, they could, make a hurricane change course, right? That's what we think. But no, he doesn't know why, and that's always a mystery, and perhaps he'll find out somehow. I don't know. That's one of the things. And so I since the times we've been there, I mean, now and again I would call or email, and he was suggesting next year, because we were trying to think, should we go this year? But no, it's COVID and everything. Next year we're going to go. And the best time that we go is March, April, because, of course, it's after the expo, but also because Douglas likes to surf, and that's when there's good surf. And it's also before it gets too hot, because it gets very hot there. And it's just beginning to get quite hot, but it's not too bad at that time. And normally there aren't any hurricanes. The hurricanes are usually, if there are any, would be later in the year.
Now, what are the latest UFO updates out of Puerto Rico?
Well, people are seeing craft all the time. I haven't seen any stories lately about particular ETs, but I'm sure that once COVID is over, that Jorge will be out there interviewing people in person again. But there's been a lot of sightings. And actually, around the time of the hurricane, too, there was a lot of sightings. And there was an earthquake last year in January. Actually, it was December that it started. There was tremors. And then in January, there was an earthquake. And it was a little bit destructive, actually. And that's another thing. So we don't really know why. But we don't think it was a UFO base or anything. But there was a lot of UFOs seen around that time as well.
Now,
they're still there.
Yeah, and the sightings, are they centered around Cartagena?
No, they're all over. And the thing is that we like to investigate that lake and because of what happened. But there's a huge amount of other things going on. And a lot of it is in the El Yunque rainforest. And people see ETs there all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if they're still seeing them now. And then also Vieques, the island that's mostly sort of owned by the military, and the people are all living in the middle. That is very much of a hotspot that people report all the time from. And some of that, what happens to people is not so good because military, they're just not wanting anyone to go to either end. Now, Jorge Martin has a book in English, and he's writing another one. But the book is called Vieques, Caribbean UFO Cover-Up of the Third Kind. And I think you can get it on Amazon, and you can get it from him. And it's got some of the accounts that I've told, but not all of them. So a couple of them are in there, I think. There's so much. There's so much information. And I know that when he gets interviewed soon with Tracy, he'll be telling you other things that I haven't even covered because there's so much. And he's really dedicated to doing this, and his wife Marlene as well, and for years. And now, so it's time for this.
And I wanted to ask, the reports of which have been going on for quite a while. This has been going on for a long time. The reports of a base being under Laguna Cartagena, is that an ET base or is that a U.S. military installation?
ET base. What it seems like is that the military go to where they are, and this, like I was saying, they were being seen there in the 40s when the geologists were mapping the caves and the guard was guarding the tents of the geologists. He would see little beings in the forest. And so that's way back in the 40s. And he told Jorge that. And then these other people have been seeing them coming and going from that lake. So what I feel is, and kind of speculating here, but when all those explosions happened and the blue smoke, it was as if the base of the ETs, maybe they were expanding it. It was already there, but it was like they were expanding it. And this great big ship came and all that. So that would make sense, I think. And also because the military weren't there before that day, everything was normal. And then suddenly, when this explosions happened, the military were all there. It's not like they knew, we're going to do something to the base. We're going to expand. So the ETs were doing it. And then, of course, there's various parts, like I said, not just the one we were in, where they're protected for nature. And I think, obviously you can hide a lot of ET activity that way too.
The thing is about Cartagena, if you look at Puerto Rico, and I've heard so many people mention this, there's lakes all over Puerto Rico, and much larger ones than Cartagena. that you don't see U.S. military jets circling all day long around the other lakes. It's only Cartagena. And I've seen the videos, and the planes are taking laps, and it just, you've got to scratch your head and wonder what is it about this particular lake when they could be flying over any lake in Puerto Rico, but it's just that one.
Yes, and there are military bases, of course. There's Roosevelt Roads and the Vieques. So, and now closer, of course, also to El Yunque, where there's been so much activity and where the ETs do, watch people as well. And Jorge has more pictures from people who have taken, photos similar to mine of the ETs following them along the sides. They'll be on a trail in El Yunque, and the ETs they'll hear little sounds, footprints or something. And then one lady, she kept turning around and taking a photo and turning around quickly and taking a photo. And then the little ETs were on her camera. So it's similar. So other people have similar pictures that I have.
The pitter patter of little ET feet. Man, I got to go to Puerto Rico. I've wanted to go for so many years, and I'm more than upset about Arecibo, and I think that there's a connection there too as well. And I just can't put my finger on it. But everybody, it's like you go to certain parts of the United States where everybody's got a Bigfoot story.
Yes.
Puerto Rico, everybody's got an ET story.
They do. So many people do. But some people still don't want to talk about it. And there was and not even all the military know or have experiences. There was one doctor, he was a military doctor, can't remember his name. And there was a funny story that I often talk about in my talks because, we often think ETs know everything. They're so psychic, they know what we're doing and all that. Well, they don't. Because this doctor, when he was walking in the forest, an ET was there on the path, and the ET was surprised and he was surprised. So the ET went one way and he ran the other, and but he wouldn't tell them. He knew he'd get debriefed and the whole thing, so he just kept it quiet. But things like that are happening.
Now I need to take a quick break, so let's get that in now. And then when we come back, can we talk cryptids and what's going on?
Chupacabras, absolutely. You can talk about the chupacabra.
Let's do that next. Our guest tonight, the one and only Serena Wright Taylor. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. The image is incredible. Okay, we've been talking about it all night. You can go to my Twitter feed at JChurchRadio. It's right there. It's buried pretty deep in hashtag F2B the Sandbox. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. I still can't get over that image. It's burned. It's burned into my retina. It is literally burned into my retina. If you want to see the image, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. It's right there in my feed, and it's right there at the top. You don't even have to search for it. There are 3 images there of the same image. One close, one far, one medium, and then the close-up. And then after you see the close-up, and then you go back to the original image, it's just incredible. Just follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and also hashtag F2B is the sandbox, and it's there. Everybody is commenting on it. And I would love to hear what you have to say. It's just an incredible picture. Serena, I want to talk Chupacabra. And yes. Chupacabra is a strange subject in that it's come and gone. I have always felt, as we get into this, I have always felt that Chupacabra, in the classic sense, when I look at it, I always thought alien. And there are reports of that and so forth, but maybe it is, being confused. Maybe they're seeing a gray, maybe they're seeing another species of gray or ET, and that it's just that it's just alien. And when I suggest that, I don't want to put stuff in people's minds. But am I making sense if I look at it that way?
Yes, but it's in itself, it is different. You could say it's a little alien or animal or insect-like or reptilian-like. And it doesn't, like most more advanced ETs, you telepathically talk with them and they come in a ship and and things like that. No, this is not like that. And the pictures that I sent you are from real witnesses. Jorge did those drawings, and he interviewed so many witnesses. He drew it, and then he checked with them. Is that what it was like? Is that what it was like? And so this is the nearest thing. Now it has, as you can see, there's spines on the back. I think that picture just shows some. I've got a lot of pictures actually, but there's spines on the back, and they vibrate when it jumps, or it sort of flies like a flying squirrel, because it also has or had a kind of a skin under its arm, so to speak. Like when a flying squirrel jumps out of a tree and it opens its arms. So it was, like bat-like. So it has that. And the big back legs are for jumping like a kangaroo. They're very kangaroo-like, because people have seen them jump over huge fences. So not flying like a bird, but diving out of trees using the membrane under their arm, and then also jumping very high. The thing is that it really happened, and it was mostly 1995, and the first sighting was actually in 1994 in December in Puerto Rico, and then it continued on. They had about 2,000 reports or more, and really, they can validate the witnesses, and it includes the mayor in Cañovañas. Was the center of a lot of this activity. And Cañovañas is near El Yunque, and it's like kind of between San Juan and El Yunque. And the mayor there, he would get a bunch of people together to kind of, he wanted to capture it. And he said, I won't let anyone take it away, because he knew that military would want to take it away. He said, I'm going to capture this. And he didn't manage to capture it, but I was convinced by all these witnesses. And the veterinarian there, Carlos Soto, so there was a TV crew that came from America, and I got some of this information from them. So they went to the vets, and he said, at the time, they had 2 dead Dobermans, and some goats that were dead. And the vet said, no animal known to man has done this, because the holes on the back of the head of the animals, they had, there was like a fang either side, and then the tongue of the chupacabra would go in and suck the blood out. Chupacabra means goat sucker, because it was mostly goats at first that were attacked, and it was the back of their head. So that's what chupacabra means. And so there was 3 holes, the 2 fangs and the tongue in the middle. And so these animals sort of at the vets there, and then different people, they went to different people who had these experiences, the TV crew. There was one man called Contessa Morales, and he was a farmer, and he was the principal of the local school in Cañovañas. And he had a lot of rabbits, but he caught the chupacabra. Well, he didn't catch them, but he ran out when 3 chupacabras were attacking his rabbits. And he described that exactly what the picture is that I sent. And he said, they were putting the rabbits down. It was like in a row, and the dead ones, unfortunately. And they pulled a cage up off the ground. It was actually attached to the ground, and threw it at him. It was a very heavy, big cage to try, to make him go away. And then they ran. Of course, the chupacabras went. So that was one thing that happened. And then other people have had other experiences. And I remember hearing about one lady who, that she was out in the garden and her husband was in the house. And the chupacabra came behind her, and he put his arms around her waist, but she thought it was her husband having fun. And he came out and he saw this thing. So he immediately chased it, and it went right over their high fence and ran away. And then another person had described seeing a sort of a portal form. They were out in the forest, and under a tree there was sort of a portal form in midair and up high from the ground, like swirling. And a ball came out of it, and it was the chupacabra. It was in a ball. It landed. It came out of the ball. It unwound itself, so to speak, and went on. And they described that was a chupacabra. So it looks like this thing came out of portals, and it's not there now, and it was there from 94 to 95. And I was asking Jorge about it a lot, and he said really he doesn't talk about it so much now because it became like people made cartoons and it became a joke. And so when he talked about it, people would not take his other information seriously about the UFOs and so on. But it really happened, and it was there on a couple of years and then disappeared again.
The description of the skin, was there fur or was there something else there? I'm looking at the drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and now the drawing is in black and white. Were the chupacabras dark?
Yes, some people said they were black,
right,
and then they were orangey also, and then greenish. So there were all these different descriptions, in color, but I think it's kind of like the reptilian look to it. And you just look at the picture now, because there was some fur, but along the back there was this vibrating spikes. And they were bigger than the fur. They were like points kind of thing. And they would vibrate, especially when it was in the air.
Just a creepy thing. Not only, well, the chupacabra is creepy, but the event to come and go fairly quickly is strange. And it makes you wonder about that. Then there were reports, it kind of went from island to island and then started showing up in Mexico.
Yes, people were reporting it in Mexico, and even I heard in America, like in the South. And I don't have that information or the proof, but that's what the TV people said. So there was, it was coming in from different places, but then not anymore. And then, people were making T-shirts and stuff. But yeah, that is the real, that picture there is from the real witnesses. So that's what it really looked like. And it does have a kind of E.T. type face with those eyes, And but the thing is that this way of sucking the blood, that is so weird.
Now, ultimately, through your research and certainly with Jorge, what are we supposing here? Are we supposing they just came and visited? Were they just pets on an ET ship and then got off and they couldn't control it?
Actually, that was a joke going around at the time.
Sure.
Are they pets?
Yes.
I don't. Or did they come from underneath? In all those caves and all those bases, and they came out for a while. Yeah, everyone's speculating. No, I mean, really, no one knows. No one really knows. And they didn't get into a craft because, it wasn't like a craft landed and they came out. No one saw that happening, but they did see that portal situation. It came out of nothing in a ball and then it undid itself and started off. So
were they nocturnal, or were chupacabras seen during the day?
I don't remember anyone's. Yes, actually, it was like, for instance, that lady who, when it had its arms around her, it was during the day.
Now, how big were the chupacabra?
Actually, I haven't got that written down. I mean, they were not as tall as a human. I don't think. I actually didn't write down here in my information the size of them. For some reason, I always think of them a little shorter. But of course, they had those strong legs that they could, jump and get very high up and get into a tree and jump over fences. But yeah, the people were saying, who didn't believe it was happening, this was, some kind of monkey or baboon. And that's why the vet said no, because nothing could be taking the blood and biting animals like this.
So all of the
animal-like.
All of the reports of dead goats, they just stopped.
Yeah, everything has stopped. Everything came to an end. Mostly 95, you'd see it. And then, people saw them in various places, crossing the road, different things, and then it stopped.
Now, what does Jorge have to say about that Homeland Security video?
Oh, I haven't talked to him about that video exactly, and I will. But he sees these things often. He actually sees videos like that. He gets pictures and from people, and has people reporting, because there's a base that is under the ocean, and part of it's under Laguna Cartagena, part of it's in the ocean, and it's like I was saying, the other end of Puerto Rico also has a base under the ocean. And in fact, there's a wonderful account from a man that I really love, and I've talked about this before, because this man had a healing experience, and he actually went to a base under the ocean, and this is real. He was, shall I just tell that story?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not long. His name was Diego Roldan, and this happened in 1979. And he was young at the time. I think he was about 28 at the time that this happened. And he had a bad ulcer. And so he lived with his parents, his family, and he went, it was dinner time, but he went to lay down in his room around 9. And then as he was falling asleep, and this used to happen to me, the ceiling opened up. And this is one thing I probably told you about when I was little, when, the ceiling would open up and I was just beginning to fall asleep and I saw different things, planets and different things. Well, he didn't. He saw a UFO. So he was, and he wasn't someone who was interested or thinking about UFOs at the time. And there was a craft above the house, basically, and he heard this tuck, 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 tuck sound. And he had a tingling feeling all over his body. That's very similar to when Douglas had his experience, actually. And he was then brought up onto the ship. And there was 2 beings there. And one of them, these weren't grays. One of them had was a human-like. And one of them had no hair, and he was wearing robes and blue eyes. And the other one had a fitted uniform, and he had blonde hair and green eyes. And, they told him not to be afraid or anything. And then they took him in the ship and he said it was like they were following a path of light. And they went over the forest of El Yunque into it, like as if they were going into the mountain and into this path of light, and came out in the ocean. So that's the other end of Puerto Rico from the lake that we're talking about. And under there he saw a dome, like a crystal dome. And again, this is like some of Douglas's paintings. You might have seen the ones that he does, the bases under the ocean, but he didn't get it from the story. Douglas has visions of that. So underneath there was the crystal dome, and they took him out, and they laid him on a chair or a table, and healed his ulcers. They healed his whole problem. He had no pain. And then he said he could breathe under there as well. It was like a whole city. And he described the city, and I can't remember all the descriptions. It was amazing. With the beautiful buildings had bridges of light between them, and just amazing. Then they took him back to his home and laid him back in bed, and he woke up and he didn't have an ulcer anymore. So that's such a wonderful story about healing. I said that many people, they get healing experiences there, and all different kinds of ETs. And this base was under the ocean near Puerto Rico. So that's just, who knows what other kinds of ETs are under there with their own bases. It's that deep Mariana Trench.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Yeah, right. It makes you wonder why Puerto Rico. We don't have another island on this planet with the history of ET and UFO contact like we do with Puerto Rico. It's singular in its existence. And you have to ask, why Puerto Rico?
Mm-hmm. You do. And I don't know any more than the fact that it's the deepest part of the ocean. I mean, it's such a deep part that people haven't, been down there. And that could be why. But they were here before people took over there. They were here a long time.
And I suggest that because we can go to Joshua Tree. We could go to Sedona. We go to Shasta here in the United States. Of course, all of New Mexico is lit up at night, and we know about these areas here. When we're talking about islands, it's just not out there, except for Puerto Rico. And now the existence of this ET base underneath Lake Laguna Cartagena is one thing. Has the base historically always been there, for thousands of years?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that? Well, okay, if it is, why did ET pick Puerto Rico? Is there something else? The Marianas Trench is one thing. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But Laguna Cartagena is not in the Marianas Trench. It's in the southwest.
Yeah.
It's away from the trench, and it's in southwest Puerto Rico, and it's away from Arecibo. Arecibo's in the middle of the island.
Yeah.
It's very strange to me.
Yeah, and it's not very big. I mean, you can get across that, in a couple of hours or so. So it can get to everything pretty easily, and it does have an incredible amount of nature, as far as healing plants, things like that. The weather as well being so good. And talking about healing plants, I was just thinking there was another experience a lady had about the ETs telling her about healing plants.
I remember this. Tell us about that. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting where you heard it. I wonder where you heard it. Yeah, because this was, I think it was Maguayo near Laguna Cartagena, because that lady, she was, it was like in the middle of the night. It was 2 a.m. I wrote that down. And she was sleeping and she woke up because there was a strange noise. And she could hear little talking noises outside the window and, not making any sense. And she looked out, and there were two little beings, like little greys, and they were about 4 feet high, and they had the big heads, and they were really interested in her plant there, which is known as the Swiss cheese plant. That's big, like a rubber plant that you can put in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the other name for it is the Monsterosa deliciosa. And they seemed like children. She thought at first they were children. But then, she saw these big heads and everything. But they were fascinated in looking at the plant. And and so then, she just stayed very quiet and looked at them. And then I think they knew she was there, and then they went away. But then they came back a few days later. And then she was looking out at them again. And in her head, they said, this will one day help with cancer, this plant. And so I know that Jorge told me there had been some experiments done. So I was looking online about that, and I did find one where they had the methanol extract of it, that it reduced tumors in mice. So they were right. But I do want to say there was so much written about that plant also being poisonous. So we're not saying just eat the plant. We're not saying that, but there was something done about it. So isn't that interesting?
It is.
They were fascinated.
I think Joshua P. Warren told me that story, and that's where I heard it. I wanted to ask you before we get to the break. Oh, can I get you to stay for overtime?
Okay.
Yeah. We haven't talked in so long. But we'll get to that. So when in your trips to Puerto Rico, did you and Douglas see anything in the sky yourselves? Did you have any sightings?
No, I didn't. We didn't see anything in the sky. No, I don't remember seeing anything. I have seen things in the sky. I'm just thinking, but it wasn't there. It wasn't there. And of course, I don't think I was always looking up. So, you reminded me. Because a lot of times I heard so much about ETs there that most of the time I was looking for an ET rather than looking for a UFO. And then also Douglas, wanted to surf. The first time I went, we called it our honeymoon, because it was like a couple of years after we got married, but we wanted to have that perfect honeymoon where he could surf and I could look for extraterrestrials. Isn't that the best honeymoon for us that you can imagine?
And why do you think that the media has ignored Puerto Rico when it comes to all of the sightings, and not only in the sky but on the ground, and of course Chupacabra and everything else that's going on there? Why does the media ignore Puerto Rico?
Well, I don't know. That it could be. I mean, there's such a big cover-up all the time, as some of the stories that I've been saying. And I hope that won't continue, and it probably is getting easier. But yeah, I mean, everything's covered up and explained away so quickly that if media were interested, the authorities, so to speak, could say, oh, no, that was Earth lights or whatever, as they have been saying, right?
Well, there's such a huge military presence there. There, you have San Juan, but the majority of the island is covered in, with small towns and jungle. The military presence there, the naval presence and army is quite extensive. So it would be easier for them to cover it up, number one. And number two, because you don't have a big media presence in Puerto Rico, that's easier to control as well, right?
That was a good answer. You've got the answer. Exactly. It's not a big media presence. Exactly.
Well, I want to take a quick break right here, and when we come back, I want to talk about disclosure. You have a lot of very close friends that are researchers out there that you're speaking to all the time, and I want to know what your conversations are like right now with all of this crazy media. And especially not only over the last 3 years, but over the last couple of weeks, where once again the media is talking about UFOs, and we've got the Senate and their report coming in from the UAPTF. These are certainly exciting times, and we have to wonder: is this another step towards disclosure?
Right. Exactly. I hope so.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. Let's get into some overtime, and we'll do all of that in just a bit. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Again, you've got to go check out that image at JChurchRadio on Twitter. It's right at the top of my feed. Also in hashtag F2B the Sandbox. We'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, struggling to get into the chair on time. Our guest tonight, Serena Wright Taylor. We're going into overtime, and the reason why I was rushing back to the chair is because, Serena, I went and grabbed one of Douglas's paintings.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to show it to everybody. This is Douglas Taylor's work, and he did this for me. It's so cool. But there's me down in the corner. There's Gobekli Tepe and Doug's painting of what is an incredible craft and everything. But this hangs here in the bunker, and I'm so proud of this. He signed it right here, and it's really cool. So there it is, everybody. That's Doug Taylor's work. Incredible artist.
And he has that picture without you in it, actually, just the Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah, that's the better picture.
Available on the website. It's available on the website.
It's the better version. Yeah, he'd have to pay me royalties. That's why. There you go. Yeah, Doug's just an amazing artist and an amazing person. And please tell him I said hello. I miss him. Yeah. Now, okay. We're in crazy times. Serena. You're part of the UFO community. What do you think? Are we in the days of disclosure, or is the community getting too excited?
Well, I think we are, but I don't really know what to expect in June. I know I talked to Linda a lot about it, and she's very hopeful about what comes out. And then other investigators are not. They say it's just going to be the same old thing, possibly a little bit between the two. I think that some more is going to be revealed. My feeling is that it can be something that could be taken maybe more than one way. You know, that there'll be some kind of disclosure, but not of everything. And we could, you know what I mean? Something that could be disclosed, but not the whole truth, just part of it, and trying to just hope that people would be happy with that. Something like that. Do you feel that?
I'm never wrong with things. I just never am. I go with my gut. I do. And this is my prediction. I think the UAP-TF report is going to be dealing with drones and terrestrial equipment from planet Earth there's going to be no discussion about UFOs, nothing like that. I don't think there's going to be anything ET. I think what's going to be presented to the Senate is a report about incursions from foreign adversaries, whether it's Russia, China, or somebody else, and that is what the report is going to be about. I don't think they're going to allude to anything ET at all. That is what I think is going to happen. If there is some miracle that there is a hint of an off-world presence, not of this Earth, from outside of our solar system, interstellar, I would be shocked. And I'm talking about a hint, not anything direct. ET is here; they've been here, and I just don't see it. I think it's going to be about drones, and I'm just going to leave it at that. That's my gut feeling. I don't see disclosure happening this way. Disclosure happens from you and I, this community, and what we know and what we've seen. I just don't see it coming in this report. I don't.
Yeah, that's what Nick Hope was saying too. He wasn't expecting anything either.
Yeah,
but me and Linda and the others were hoping.
Well, you know what? And Linda is in the know, and so are you, and I appreciate that. Look, wouldn't it be great, right? I would absolutely love it. Earlier today on the show, I talked about this gentleman today that showed me a video from Mexico. And now he doesn't know anything about what I do, nothing like that. That's not why the conversation happened. But he said something to me at the end of the conversation. And you know what he said? Strange.
What?
He said April 15th.
Oh.
I go, April 15th? He goes, April 15th, something's going to happen. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm just telling you that April 15th keeps coming to me. And there's going to be something to do with UFOs on April 15th. I said, in 2 days? He said, yes. I said, all right. I don't know if I'll see him again. But if I do, I hope it's on April 15th or April 16th. We'll see. But I just thought that was interesting. Just out of the blue in this conversation, April 15th.
I'm thinking about I don't have my program in front of me astrologically. I'm just thinking what's going on astrologically.
Well,
that might show that.
I'm not going to disclose your age. I don't even know your age, to be honest with you. But you've been researching UFOs and ET for decades, for a very long time. Have you ever felt like you do now? Because we went through, things went crazy in the 70s. Things went crazy in the 80s. Things went crazy in the 90s. Things went crazy in the, these peaks and valleys, right? It just up and down, up and down. But these seem like strange days now. Has it ever been like this for you?
No, I'm thinking, when you were talking about disclosure, I was thinking, well, that's an unusual thing, but we've been through so many unusual things that we thought couldn't happen. I mean, they have not been all good lately. So what else? There's UFOs, ETs here. Would that really surprise people?
At this point, Serena, at this point, the answer is clearly no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
after, and we're still not over it. We're still going through it. But after 2020, and I remember you and I and the rest of us, back at the beginning of 2020, how happy we were, and it's 2020 and what a great year we've got in front of us. We clearly didn't know how things were going to quickly unravel for all of us, but they did. after, and it wasn't just the pandemic, it was everything else that happened in 2020. It was just, it was crazy town.
Oh, there was, I mean, I can't help speaking astrologically here.
And,
I mean, there was so much
right.
that we did. I mean, Vedic Astrologer particularly, we were saying this is a very difficult year. One astrologer had talked about a virus, but, you know, I don't know enough in my research to be able to do what he did, but he did. But we were saying, you know, February, the end of February, from that period, from what the nodes were doing, what various planets were doing, could be like a 9/11, because the certain planets were in a position like a 9/11 kind of experience. So we were thinking something. I wasn't thinking virus at all, and it was weird because after the expo, well, I had got sick. We thought it was a virus, the virus, but it wasn't. I got sick. But after the expo, I was thinking I was going to do two great things. They weren't to do with UFOs. They were the two charities that I volunteered for. They were both having huge galas, one 5-year, one 10-year anniversary. And I was helping and I was so excited. But then part of me was thinking, oh, I need a break. I love this, but I wish I could just get my office in order. And and it came true, but I had no idea I'd have like a year to get my it's not, my office is not in order. But I sort of had that feeling. It was interesting that something was going to change right there. But, you know, I wasn't thinking virus. But yeah, what was your question?
But this is the sort of truth. I mean, it's my truth. What a way to bury and hide a headline that you don't want to have dominate everything, which is UFOs and ET contact, right?
Yes.
ET could have came and visited us in 2020 and it would not have made the news, right? And that's the other strange thing about 2020. A lot of events that would normally, in a normal year, would have been big news and a big headline and worthy of everybody's conversation and insight. Well,
even the Puerto Rico earthquake at that time, at the beginning of the year, you know, there was so much going on. Oh, that was then too.
Yeah, certainly. and right now we don't have one, but we've got two volcanoes erupting on this planet right now.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
It's
I wasn't even thinking of that.
Of course not. We've got other things which is exactly my point. Even though we have two volcanoes erupting, we have things, and as spectacular and huge news as this is, it's not there. It's not grabbing people's interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm hoping, well, this year is going to be better. That's for sure. And there are going to be some changes and we are getting out there. And what I feel is that, and what I hope to see is more respect for the environment, more respect for Mother Earth, more respect for animals. All these things have to teach us that we can't go on just living the way we were. And look how, you know, nature improved when we weren't flying and you know, so much was going on. It helped the air to be clear. So, you know, this is all a lesson. So I hope that, you know, we've learned the lesson to live a more natural lifestyle, try to be, you know, not to take so much from the earth. So I hope that's part of our lesson. Well,
and what are the charts telling you now? Not only individually for people, but for the future. How do you know that things are going to calm down? What are they showing you?
Oh yeah, well, it is the transits that were causing the problems that they were, you know, moving on. So one of them was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and it happened a couple of times. They were so close because in Vedic astrology we don't just look at the exact conjunction of planets. We look at even if when they're in the same sign. And the strangest thing that happened in 2020 was that when the Jupiter conjunct Saturn, which it will do every so often, it also was at its lowest point of debilitation. So Jupiter was debilitated in Capricorn, and at its lowest exact point with Saturn. So that was even predicted by a great teacher in India who's passed now. And he said, because some astrologers asked him way back, I think before 2012, and they were saying the Y2K thing. They were saying, what's going to happen in Y2K? And he said, nothing. And he said, it's all going to happen in 2020, what you're thinking. So he said, that's your bad year. And so that's one thing that happened. But there was a lot of other transits that all piled up like at the same time. The worst transit of the nodes that happens every 18 years. The particular constellations the nodes were in, Rahu, Ketu, they're also called North Node, South Node. So that happened before they were, 18 years before that, it was 9/11. So all those things were going on that we knew it wasn't an easy year. So nothing's going to be like that. So in other words, this 2021, all those planets have moved on. And Jupiter just left the same, it was in the same sign as Saturn in Vedic and in the sky, and it's just left. And then next year, Saturn will be in Aquarius. And so they're both, it is the ruler of Capricorn where it is now and Aquarius. But in Capricorn, it's more restrictive. It's the rules and all that. Goes into Aquarius, you're going to be able to travel more. Aquarius represents people and meeting people and so on together. So and there's going to be more traveling. So all that's going to improve. And I think that we're going to be I feel, and I want to really feel that we've learned to we are learning to love each other more, to connect, to know that everyone is spirit, anyone on the spiritual path. We all know we're not the body, we're the spirit, that we're all the same. We all know that. So let's hope more people can wake up to that knowledge and not just see everyone as being different, but connect with the fact that we're all spirits in a human body. And so I think, I want to see that happen. I'll do everything I can to try to get, to spread love and understanding as much as possible. And what was awful also about 2020 is we couldn't go and do that. We couldn't go and do, favors for people or help people, in our charity work or anything like that, especially us older people. We weren't allowed to go out because we might get the virus and we might spread the virus. So all those things, we couldn't do. It just made everyone's life so much harder. So I hope that's going to change and we're going to connect again in a better way than ever.
Was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that you're talking about, is that when they were on top of each other in the night sky? Yes, exactly. Yes. And they came close before that, and they came back. Exactly. Okay. And you're saying that may have had something to do. That was bad, actually. That was bad. Because of not only because when you get, Saturn and Jupiter together, Jupiter loses some of its power. Oh, Jupiter is like the most wonderful planet of it's so auspicious. It's spirituality, it's fortune, good fortune, finances even, all the good things. Saturn, of course, it's not a bad planet. It is about, structure and form and being secure. It's got very good points. But when it is Jupiter's debilitated like that and completely overcome by Saturn, it clouded over all the good stuff, basically, all the good stuff. And so, and what we say in Vedic is, that it's Dharma, right? Dharma means the spirituality, the principles that we live by that are good, caring for others and doing good. And so when that is at its low point, it was at the lowest point. Dharma was at the lowest point. That was the prediction. That's what it is. That all the bad things happened. All the things we're talking about, where we could see all this terrible harm that came to people, not just the virus, but the way people are treating each other. So all those things happened. And of course, no one's having any spiritual principles in their head, the real principles of spirituality, which are love and service, were changed into, religion became about hate, actually.
in some, that's my opinion, in some of the of what was going on.
No,
So
we all
can
saw
see
that, but
Yeah.
see, this is the thing. We all saw, and it wasn't just in the United States. This went on globally.
No, it was all over the world. Yeah, because this is affecting the world.
It came
Exactly.
unglued. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody came unglued so quickly, and where does this hate come from? And it was not only on the internet and in social media where it was so prevalent and in your face, it was out on the streets, right?
Yes.
You had riots blocks from your home, from where you live, from where I live. It was crazy to see that, and it was ongoing. So you're suggesting that we're not going to have another conjunction like that in 2021?
No, not at all, not at all. And that's so rare because like I said, when conjunctions happen like every 12 years with Jupiter and Saturn, it wouldn't even necessarily be that often. Jupiter goes around the sky every 12 years. This was rare because it was at its lowest. Jupiter was at a bad point in the sky for itself anyway. So then Saturn's on it as well. So that's why, that's one thing. Then you had the retrograde Mars, you had the Pluto-Saturn conjunction before that. There was so much, every day, like, oh no, now we're heading for this transit, now we're heading for that transit, So, it was like one thing after another.
Now, what do you do with your clients now, and you look at their charts individually? I don't want to talk about anybody specific, but in general, are you seeing a more positive future for everybody in their charts, and not necessarily something that you would have to warn somebody about, like you did with me once?
I did? Oh. I remember that. Yeah, I'm sorry if you didn't want to be warned. I can't remember.
No, I told you to give me the good and the bad. But how is everybody's individual outlooks as you're looking at their charts?
Well, yeah, it does look better. And the thing is, everyone's different. So some people had a very good 2020, and my 2020 wasn't all that bad. I'm very grateful, because I don't mind being at home. I can work at home. As well, and so mostly it was all work. But I knew I wasn't going to travel because I didn't show, and obviously we know why now. But the thing is that some people's charts, even for 2020, did look like they were going to travel. But what happened instead was they would have a lot of communication going on. So people were. I help people a lot with when to fly. There's certain transits, and there's even days that you can leave that are better than other days and all these things. So I help people a lot with that. So I had been doing that, but of course then they couldn't travel. But because it's usually Mercury and Jupiter you're looking at, they had very fortunate communications going on and news, maybe from other places or family in other places. So and similarly, so there's always something, there's something negative we can look at. What I would say rather than negative is, there's lessons or experiences. And when we know our chart, we know, okay, that's a kind of a quiet time, or that's a kind of time to be spiritual, because materially it might not work out. It's not like, just good or bad. It's like there's something you want to sort of focus on, and don't focus on the thing that's not going to work. So that kind of, we use it. It doesn't, use us, we use it. So yeah, I help people with that. Some people have not much going on. Some people have a lot going on. But in general, it is not like what's been going on. And I had clients who did lose people in their family, who have lost, not just older people, sometimes younger friends with COVID. So, and it would show in their chart, but we just didn't know quite what it was until it happened. It did. But that was going on.
Now, do you ever chart ET? Is that possible?
No, not really, because it's not like you can put a chart for ET because a person has a birth time, right?
Right.
So
right.
So something like that. But in people's charts, people who have abductions a lot, there's some. I made my own research into it years ago. I think it was in the 90s. when I noticed that people who had abductions, they would tell me the dates of their major abductions, and it would be a lot concerning Rahu Ketu, which is North Node and South Node. They would be on transiting one of their planets. And some of the people who have a lot of abductions were born on an eclipse. That was really interesting. So, this eclipses in Vedic are considered inauspicious. They're not auspicious. I don't look at them myself. I don't go out and look at them because they're inauspicious. Because they're the nodes covering the luminaries. So the nodes are not actually planets. They're the points in the sky that cause the eclipses. But they're powerful. So they're covering a planet. It's not auspicious. So then these abductions, of course, were with the grays. I'm not saying the positive abductions happened with the nodes. The one that Douglas had, the first big one, I figured, he told me roughly the date. He couldn't remember the exact date. But he had Uranus and Venus. I think Uranus was crossing Venus, something like that. Which is incredible. It doesn't happen to everybody. It's like and it actually has a lot to do with art, because if you were in the art business, like in the arts, in media, or you were a painter or something, you would get incredible insight. But he didn't paint then, and he started painting from that experience, which is really interesting. But it's positive. I mean, that kind of thing can bring some kind of great gain, or meeting some special person in your life or something like that when you have Uranus, Venus. So that's positive. But the negative ones seem to be involved with the grays, or the lower, what we might call, they might be lower astral kind of beings. Then it seemed to be more eclipse type experiences.
Now, really quick, I've only got about a minute left, Serena. Mm-hmm. When you look at the overall charts for 2021, is there one section of the year, one period of the year that really looks good?
I think that when Jupiter, I think it's starting now, is this Jupiter going very slow. So Jupiter is moving slowly, and it's going to sit at one point in the sky and be close and be very strong. And that would be in Vedic. Now remember, this is Vedic astrology. That would be going right up to 8 Aquarius. So it starts, really slow at 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is May, June, July, August. It's slow. It goes forward, then it retrogrades. But even retrograde, don't worry about the retrograde. It just means the planet's powerful, and it's going back. But I think this May, June, and July, I'm very positive about, and because a lot of people are getting that aspect strongly in their chart, because of course it aspects the houses from it, especially the trines, and I can see some things, happening in people's charts. So I think that this is. I didn't look at yours. I didn't know we were going to talk about astrology.
No, we'll do that. We'll do that off air. We don't need to do that on air. But so you're saying that May, June, and July, things are going to loosen up a little bit and look more positive.
I think that's powerful because Jupiter's powerful. So that's how I feel. And one of my astrology teachers tells me that I always see the positive transits and I don't see the bad ones. He always says that. And I can't even remember what's happening with the other ones. But, there's all the time, there's different things going on. There's squares of planets and more difficult aspects with Saturn and so on. But I am just thinking of one right now. And because I always think if I focus on something, I want to focus on that to increase the energy for everyone. So that's what I'm going to say. But I know there'll be some bad days here and there with other transits going on. But let's focus on the power of Jupiter. Jupiter's being strong, and June particularly strong. June. And there's the same time as the reports coming out.
Yeah, there you go. Serena, what a wonderful, wonderful conversation tonight. And I just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Give my best to Doug. And I look forward to hanging out as soon as we can. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to be here. Wonderful.
Serena Wright Taylor. Now, her website, simple, vimana.org. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. We just did a full show tonight, pole to pole, beginning to end. Thank you so much, Serena. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitello, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Tracy Austin. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.